Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Your Honor Season 2, Episode 4. This was directed by Darren Grant and written by Aaliyah Brown. So, this episode's clearly divided between the Michael and Baxter story with the Desire group. So, I'm going to start with everything with going on with Michael and the Baxters, and then we'll finish off with everything going on with Desire. So, you see this episode is centered all around Jimmy Baxter's 50th birthday party, which he will invite Michael to. It's interesting that he wants him to bring Charlie along so he can kind of pull at Charlie more about getting what he needs Charlie to do for him to get that property. And what's interesting is that Michael is spooked even more by Jimmy now because Jimmy knows where Michael was staying. He's clearly got an eye on Michael, and he's very suspicious of Michael and what his intentions are with Fia and even being around Carlo. He doesn't want him around his children. He thinks Michael is up to something bad and to take a child away from, like he'll reference later on when he is torturing him, and it really amps up everything going on between Michael and the Baxters this episode, and really effectively. It's interesting too what's going on with Olivia. Olivia talks about how this is the time she wants to get Jimmy because he is someone who's going for something out of his reach and wants to catch him slipping up. What is unfortunate about her saying this, it could also be looked at maybe something that she's doing going out of something of her reach, trying to take this whole organization down, and it could catch up to her as well. So we'll see if that kind of ends up happening, and that it's an ironic line. But she's also showing that she's betting on Michael here. She's comparing him to this horse that's not perfect, and you'll see they do a nice touch with that payoff because once he finds out he's bugged by Olivia and takes it off, it's also when she's seeing the horse she is rooting for loses, and her bet on Michael, which is her messy horse, also fails her here. But Michael was clearly smart to take that out of his shirt. If Frankie had found he was bugged, they would have known he was up to no good with the FBI, and he would have been killed dead on the spot. We also got some rare humor in this show, and that was kind of set up with Michael changing his look now and them having this running joke about him looking like Saddam Hussein, which also led nicely to Fia cutting his hair and them bonding even more, and Fia even knows it's dangerous for him to be around her family. And they did a good job at convincing us for Charlie to go to this because Michael has to convince him by opening up to him about him having a grandson that's related to the Baxters. Now, what's important too is Fia says to Michael she wants someone in her life she can trust, and she's looking at Michael as this person. Unfortunately, there's so much more to the story. Again, Fia is one of those characters, really likable, but she does not know what's really happened between her father and Michael and everything that's around her brother's death and Adam's death. So we're all waiting for that shoe to drop when she finds those things out. And we see things escalate more and more with Jimmy towards Michael at the party because even when Michael gets there, he sees and learns that Fia cut his hair, which is making him more suspicious. And then by the end, he sees her hugging her, and that was it for Jimmy. Jimmy's like, Frankie, go get him. And he publicly, Jimmy, before this even happened, made Michael officially a member of the family, gave the blessing, and then was even trying to pull Charlie in any way he can to kind of get Charlie to cave on his demands. Now, there is a little thing, too, that's important. We meet Carmine Conti, who is Gina's father. Gina had him come along because she does not like the direction the family's going. This is going to be someone who will probably combat whatever Jimmy's doing. Now, I'm skeptical about this because anyone who's watched Breaking Bad, which is 90% of this audience, knows Mark Margolis, that actor, played Hector Salamanca. It's a familiar face, right? So what's always dangerous about doing that is if you're taking someone who's most known, Bryan Cranston for his Breaking Bad character of Walter White, and you want to make sure we don't think of that while we're watching Michael Desiato, the worst thing you could do is bringing anything from Breaking Bad. That includes locations, storylines, and that includes the worst sin is another actor from the show. So I am just shocked they casted him here. You already got the Breaking Bad fans having Bryan Cranston in it, so I think he's a great actor. That's the bonus you get, but I wonder if that's going to take some of people out of it when he's on the scene, if he's ever on the scene, like we did a little bit here with Michael. That you're thinking of Walter White and Hector Salamanca here. So I'm skeptical. I'm going to reserve, judgment because he's an incredible actor. So hopefully that won't happen, that feeling, when he has more screen time, but we'll see. Now, when Frankie and Jimmy here are messing with Michael in the basement, it is interesting that Frankie checked him for being bugged and he wasn't. Suspicious because there's a missing slot in his collar, but still not bugged. But what is interesting, a little bit of a plot hole, just pointing it out here that Frankie didn't just look at his phone and see who he was talking to, because if he just called that number that was labeled bestie by Olivia, he would have got Olivia and been more suspicious about who he's talking to. So I just thought it was strange he didn't even look for that. But that's a very, very specific nitpick on my part. I'm not like too upset about it. But you see, you really get to lean into Jimmy's mindset right now. And he's like, my daughter barely speaks to me, but you make it look so easy. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to pull? Are you trying to take her from me? And Michael's just like, do what you got to do, Jimmy. Like, he still is at the point where, like, if you're going to be the one to kill me, kill me. Like, and he doesn't. You know, he's not going to be his executioner, like he said. And it's a little more complicated for Jimmy now just to kill Michael, because he still has to be wary of, like, Fia likes him, you know, and this is his grandson's other grandfather. So he knows it's not just a clean path to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens with that. But a great, great cliffhanger and a really good scene to end on, and the best scene of the show so far in this season for sure. Now, everything going on with Desire. So poor Trey in jail, right? He's trying to get out of jail. His mom isn't biting on this and never does, even by the end of the episode. And of course, Little Mo's the one who gets out because he's got criminals behind him in Big Mo to get him out, and a crooked cop. So poor Trey just suffers for that. But we see Roderick is on the tail of what's going on and finding that money, as is Big Mo. Roderick would eventually destroy Sheila's house, and Sheila's another one who pays for things and she doesn't deserve it. And the good thing is Eugene was smart enough to actually get out of there even before Little Mo called him, and took a step further and got the money to Big Mo. And that's actually good for Little Mo, because it looked like they were going to shoot Little Mo there because the money wasn't there, which is crazy. Would Big Mo have killed Little Mo, her own family member, because he had messed up so bad? I don't know. It was implied for sure, so that's interesting that she might have made that call. But at the end of the day, Eugene got the money to her, which is huge. But it brings Eugene back to New Orleans, so this is dicey, because Eugene has to be kept hidden for Charlie, for the public eye, for the Baxters, everything around that story and the death of Adam. Now, it still felt very distant from the main storyline this episode. Everything going on with Desire wasn't the most interesting, but it's really coming close now, especially with Eugene back in New Orleans, and Big Mo's got her money to screw with Gina and get the bar she wants. So that's going to just be really ramped up now, I believe, in this next episode for sure. So I'm not worried about that. Still entertaining enough. So overall, I'm giving this episode a 9. This was my favorite of the season. It's just a different show to me at this point in a good way. Like, Your Honor season 1 was hard to take seriously. A lot of silly stuff happening, like I said. But man, you got some new writers here this season, new showrunner. It just feels different. I'm really going to say this is a shocker of the year, and already being 4 episodes in, I'm very impressed with this season, and I'm excited about it. I'm happy about it. I wasn't even going to review this show. I'm happy I ended up doing this show, so really exciting stuff, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as me. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you thought of this episode, what you think of the season as a whole, and please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. I also do celebrity interviews, other reviews as well, and it helps so much if you can subscribe. You have no idea. I'd really appreciate that, and I'll see you next time.